Welcome to episode 32 of the Creative Train podcast. This episode is part 2, or shall I say part 2, of my conversation with my friend Daniel Moisan. I called Daniel a Renaissance man in every sense of the word before, and in episode 1 you'll hear us talking about all kinds of different forms of art that he's into. This episode we're going to get a little more personal, quite deeply personal ones sometimes, and talking about how people view us as artists and how that impacts family dynamics sometimes, and how to stay creative, inspired, and passionate, and keep your head above the noise at all times. All aboard?
And what you just said made me think about the second thing I told to my Mexican college people.
Yes.
They were asking me, as an author, what is the best advice you can give to a young author? You know what I said? Write your book. Yep. Write it. That's it.
Yep.
And they look at me, well, what do you mean? No, I said, write it. That's the hardest part. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, one thing I hate, a word I hate is project.
Means it's never done.
If project is not associated with action, don't tell me about it.
Yeah.
Okay? If project is not associated with a plan, a realistic one, and don't.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing that can happen to an artist is not getting the things done, even though if it's not perfect, even though if it's not as you wish, because artists, we hear perfection, but we cannot perform it.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why people appreciate live music.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I know how I fuss in my studio here, and you were saying the same thing about revisiting a master just before, or a mix just before you sent it for mastering. And it's like we can listen to, you know, Rush and Steely Dan and all those great productions and go, oh, I want to do that. All I got to do is that, because I saw it on a forum. I put, you know, this compressor here and that microphone there. And it's like, no, just fucking, that's why it's like this. My phone is my greatest ally with those kind of things. It doesn't make great recordings, but I can capture something instantly. And I know that if I don't, I'm going to forget it.
Exactly. And the funny thing is that I wake up often in the morning, and I mean every morning, in fact. But you know, I'm waking up, and I have a melody. I was dreaming about melody, and the first time it happened to me, I was taking my dictaphone and I was singing. But you know, your wife is sleeping beside you. So you kind of sing it, you feel asleep, and then you push stop, and then you fall asleep again, and then you listen to it, you know, when you're up, and it's like
that's fucking horrible.
I mean, and then I realized that, you know, when I have an idea, I have to go to the bathroom and sing it in the bathroom because, you know, it's no use. I mean, it was a super melody, but, you know, I cannot get it back because it's maybe I could put a pitch shifter or something like that.
Auto-tune. Auto-tune's got to fix everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
I had the same experience the other day. I was looking through all the voice recordings on my phone, and they go back to like 2015, and I found one from 2017 that just said idea. And I was like, oh, this will be good. And it was like, it sounded like summer outside. Yeah. Because I was walking in my driveway and I could hear the gravel under my feet. And I could hear the dog with his little collar tinkling on his, tinkling on his collar. And I'm humming this melody. And I'm like, I can't find my place in it. Yeah, I can't find beat one, let alone the root note. And I'm like, what was I thinking? And then I listened to it again a couple times, and I thought, oh, okay, I was just rambling a little bit. And then like 30 seconds in, the idea clicked. And I was like, I'm glad I have that.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like a little archive. I do that. Yeah. You do that as well, right? Do you do with lyrics and stuff as well?
Yeah. Isn't it Barry Gibb who was telling in a very good documentary that I watched? It was on Crave at the time about the Bee Gees. and Jive Talking, that song, they were driving on a bridge, like in Florida.
I thought that was Staying Alive. I heard that too. Yeah.
And there was those metal rods, at every whatever feet, and it was and then and then it became a song. So you never know what's gonna make you think about something, or but you have to document it. You have to print it somewhere, to record it somewhere. You have to write it. And I have songs that I wrote and that are long lost in my phone because I never recorded it. But one day I will just and I will arrive to that page, and I say, okay,
when you retire, make that your retirement project.
Oh, I don't know if I'm going to retire.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I'm on the Freedom 95 plan.
Oh, I mean, I just applied for the 105, the 105. I mean, that's life. I mean, it's a choice, and if you look in the last 30 years of your life, didn't you always got over struggles and did something? Yeah. I mean, it's not because life is on your side. If it was, we would be all millionaires. But it's that you always, the passion you have for what you do, it makes you do some sacrifices, but as well, we kind of getting more wise in ways of doing things and buying things. I have 60 something guitars here.
60?
Okay? Yeah, but the deal is
I thought I was catching up to you.
Yes, but the deal is when I need some bucks, everyone can lose its seat. I mean, except the ones that my wife gave to me. But
do you still have that purple Gretsch?
No, no. But it's actually that purple Gretsch. You bought it for me. I mean,
I'm glad I got to play it before it went away.
Yeah,
it was so
but funny things. It's still on sale actually in Quebec.
Wow.
Yeah, the guy who bought it, he's selling it. It's got it's like the Met Gala yesterday. There's a lot of look, but it lacks some soul. So that was the thing with that guitar.
Yeah.
It didn't have that that edgy thing that make you fall in love with it. Yeah. But just looking at it, it's incredible. But it's all about sound at the end.
Yeah, it's like the fellow that I picked that Gretsch up from. We got to talking about guitars, of course, and I mentioned a guitar that I had, and we were Facebook friends after the and he messaged me one day and he said, "Do you still have that guitar?" And I said, "Yeah," and it was an Ovation acoustic, but a baritone, so it was a longer.
Oh,
neck.
Okay.
Feels like a bass guitar.
Yeah.
And he said, "Do you still have that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he says, "I've been looking all over the internet for it, and I cannot find a single one for sale." He said, "Would you consider selling it? Just name your price." And I'm like, "Okay, I could use the money." I hated to see it go because it was a Christmas gift. But it's hard. There's certain things that I can part with gear, but guitars I have a harder time parting with.
Yeah. But it's like they say that those guys that work for the mafia, they say that it's the first one that is the hardest, but after that it's I once pre-pandemic I struggled a bit financially, and I was sponsored by Epiphone and Gibson, and I had all the elitist series.
Nice.
All the models, J200, J45, Les Paul, SG, 335, Casino. I had all that, and I had to sell, and they were playing on all my records, and I sold them all because I needed the money.
Mm.
But it's wood and strings,
True.
and I was when I was touring in the UK, the first two tours, I had one band lineup. The third tour, I had another lineup, and the fourth tour, I had another lineup.
Wow.
And people were joking about me in the UK, like, why is this band is always changing? But in the end, they came to see me and they said, finally, you're the band. It's you. You are the soul of the band. And when I realized that whatever guitar that I have in my hands, as long as I'm there,
Yeah.
I mean, it's me who's playing.
Yeah.
So it can be on any guitar, and it's how you see things, and it's not like I'm vain or whatever.
Mm.
It's just that if there's just the guitar and I'm not there, what song does it play?
Yeah. Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I have a guitar. I have a guitar here. Look at that guitar. This is a Guild 1967 Mark I
you should play
guitar.
some Leonard Cohen on there.
That was given to my aunt. That was she was a singer, and she's an author. So there's some genes in the process, and it was given to her by Félix Leclerc. You know Félix Leclerc?
No.
He's the first chansonnier, the first kind of folk singer in Quebec.
Oh, okay.
And he went huge in Paris, and he became, and in Quebec, when you have the kind of Junos,
Right.
but the Quebec's Junos, they're called the Félix.
Oh,
The name of the
wow.
trophy. Yeah. So that guitar worth, I mean,
It's got a
it
history.
was, yeah, it was given by the biggest name in Quebec, but who's handling it? Who's playing it?
Right. So, do you have a dream guitar or piece of gear that you've always wanted but have never been able to touch or play yet?
I think I'm ready. Maybe like a super jumbo Gibson, or
Yeah.
something very expensive.
Yeah.
A Steinberger, real one.
Oh, yes.
I would like to try this, with the graphics and
I was playing one the other day.
okay.
It was a guitar, not a bass.
Yeah.
Bright yellow. It was one of the ugliest things I'd ever seen. But I remember my 16-year-old self watching UB40 Red Wine video or something and seeing that bass, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know even why I wanted it, just because it was different, I guess. But
this is the funny thing. I love Rush. I was once lucky enough to meet Geddy Lee for an hour and a half when he was launching his solo album in like 2001, 2002.
Wow.
And he's the one who learned. He gave me his trick to sing and play at the same time, and very kind. But I love Rush. But for me, George Michael is a genius. For me, ABBA, they are geniuses. For me, Robert Fripp is a genius, as well as Prince, as well as and McCartney is very good, but Lennon could make you cry. I never. I like songs that are totally kitsch, totally. Did you say left field or whatever?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
uh, never, never be afraid of liking whatever people call shit.
Yeah. And when you bring that up, if we go back to
Yeah.
the what's his name, Zabe?
Wait, Patrick Zabé.
Yeah, when you talk about him being like cheesy or kitsch,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I had a guitar student a number of years ago who he moved to Ontario from Quebec. He's now moved back to Quebec, but he introduced me to the band Harmonium,
Oh yeah, God.
and
Yeah.
I am like, I can listen to that stuff every day. And
Yeah.
I don't honestly understand much of the lyrics. If I could read them, I would understand better.
Okay.
But the sounds in that,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah.
And they could be talking about really horrible things in their songs, and I wouldn't care because
Yeah.
it's like candy for my ears
Yeah.
when I listen to it. Yeah.
But it's the, there's a rock opera that is called Starmania in French.
Hmm.
It was once it was translated to Tycoon in the early 90s, but it was not a huge success, on the English side. But it was a guy, Michel Berger, who wrote for France Gall and many artists in France. The guy is a total genius. Barry Gibb, for me, is an incredible songmaker, an incredible genius. I mean, Celine Dion, for me, she's near perfect pitch. And once George Martin was making a kind of record with, cover, Beatles cover,
Hmm.
and the artist he wanted the most on this record was Celine Dion.
Really?
Because because he said she's perfect, she sings perfect, and I want to hear that on my record. I want to have that because I spent my career recording not perfect singer, but
Yeah.
there's one.
Yeah.
But people they are afraid of associating their names to they kind of think that it's we have to get rid of that schoolyard mentality with cool people.
Yeah.
Fonzie in Happy Days.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
he was so cool, but he was a fucking loner. I
Yeah.
mean, he almost looked like a pedophile. I mean, he was
Yeah.
hanging out
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
those kids and everything.
Yeah.
There's always many ways to see that thing. But when we were young, the Fonzie, oh yeah, that's cool,
Oh
that's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But when you look at that, from another point of view, and things are changing. You like sci-fi as I do, and I always say that it's so funny in the Star Wars movies, even now, they push all kinds of buttons. We have touch screen in 2025.
Yeah.
You don't push any button in your car. Actually,
Yeah.
it's always on screen.
Yeah.
And I always say, Star Wars would have never existed today because a signal conversation, and you give the Death Star plans to everyone, and end of the movie. There's no droid that is going, and another funny fact, people find it so cool. But when you get to the laws of relativity with Einstein, Star Wars is almost impossible because
Yeah.
you travel the speed of light. When you go back to Tatooine, everyone's supposed to be dead. I
Yeah.
mean, and when they say 2 years later, they say that,
Yeah.
I'm watching Andor, the new series, and I say 2 years, according to what?
Yeah.
What's the size of the sun? What's the size of the planet?
Right.
What's
Because they never mention Earth anywhere in there.
yeah. So what's the year? Well, what's an hour?
But you see, that is your mind, which is not the normal mind.
Yeah.
We would think, okay, 2 years later, okay, well, I had my birthday, I had 2 Christmases, it's like, well, 2 years could be like 300 of ours.
Exactly. So when you dig, in something you find very cool, sometimes it's not that cool. It's not a lot more cooler than anything else. Every singer has its flaws, and every movement, and the Cure, the goth period was so cool and fun.
Oh, yeah.
But you still see Robert Smith acting like a teenager when he's giving an
He's 70
interview.
years old.
He's talking to when he were introduced to inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right.
And that was that girl that was crazy.
Yeah.
The Cure,
And he's
the
like,
Cure.
you're more excited than I am.
Yes, but I looked at the guy and I said, man, are you still that preoccupied by your image? Why can't you be just a little bit hysterical like the other one? Why can't you express joy? We don't care.
No.
But that's what I say when I say prisoner of your image. When you're doing the same thing, the last record of The Cure is a lot like the other one, and a lot like the other one, and a lot.
Yeah.
It's a brand. They're prisoner of a brand.
Yeah.
And that's I'm always escaping that, or trying to escaping that.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw The Cure at Canada's Wonderland.
Oh.
Mid 80s, I think. They played, I can't remember who the opening act was, but we traveled from the town I lived in Peterborough, and a bunch of people booked a school bus to go see The Cure. And of course, I got a ticket, and I sat by myself on the bus going, sitting by myself on the bus again. But Robert Smith came out, and he was almost bald.
Yeah.
And all these people showed up with big black hair, and he's like, well, there's more people here that look like me than me, or something weird like that.
I thought when you told me Canada's Wonderland, I kind of heard like Marineland, and then I said it was not Robert Smith, it was an orca.
So, yeah. I think Marineland's going to close soon. I don't know.
Yeah, but all those people, they were writing about preoccupations and concerns of teenagers struggling with many things in life, and of course we see those people bigger than they are, because if we say that at one point the last Cure record sucks, it's like we're betraying ourselves, because we always believed in this and that, and they helped us to build our personality and identity. But it's, as an advertiser, I think it's one of the most pervert things, because the good thing is that it makes you get yourself together, and having a kind of identity. But in the other way, it's because you usually people cannot stand uncertainty about everything. Uncertainty, this is funny, because the conspirationists and the media and the power and whatever, they all make me laugh, because they all can't stand an unclear answer about something.
Mm-hmm.
But both sides, they want something solid. They want a truth which does not exist. Yeah. They want, and it's so funny to see them. And we spend all our teenage years trying to get truth about life, and be cool, and expressing our manhood, whatever, for girls, being desirable, they're attractive and everything. So it's and there's all that consuming thing, buying clothes, buying records, dressing in black, listening to Sisters of Mercy,
Oh, I
and
love that.
dancing like a polar bear. Feeling bad.
Yeah.
Walking two feet in front, two
Yeah.
feet back, 2 feet in
Yeah.
front, and this is so funny. I mean, they say that at one age, people like you and me, and we stop, dressing the last fashion, and
Yeah.
the last, and then we start acting like we don't care about what people. My father was walking in the living room dancing like, it was horrible to see.
Yeah. I do
but
that.
but it was he understood.
Yeah.
you know it's Be yourself. I like this, two lyrics that I like. It was Eurythmics. The album was called "Be Yourself Tonight,"
Right.
and
And
one of the lyrics I like the most. You will laugh at me. It's "Karma Chameleon"
yeah.
from Culture Club.
Yeah.
And it was, "Every day is like survival. You're my
My
lover,
lover,
not my
not my rival.
rival."
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and that's why, you know, the integrists, Leonard Cohen fans, that's what they all miss.
Hmm.
Because even in Culture Club or whatever, Bananarama, whatever, there are some pearls that
Absolutely.
are lying in songs,
Yeah.
and that contribute to build your yourself, your personality, your critic vision, and your self esteem as well.
It helps you identify who you are, and
Exactly.
that's one of the things that I find, like, as a music instructor, I find that like probably 75% of my student base is under 20 years old,
Yeah.
and I would probably say that easily most of those kids can't name a band or a song that they like. They watch TikTok and they get little 30-second snippets of stuff, and they don't know who did it. They don't know where it was recorded. They don't know if there's a band or if it's just AI. And I'm like horrified. And I was talking to a kid tonight, a guitar student, and I said, "What do you want to play?" He said, "Kiss." I said, "Oh, Kiss was what made me want to play guitar."
Yeah.
Yeah, I would come home from school and I would bury my head in between these speakers and play the whole Kiss Alive album, back front to back, right? And so we did. I can't remember, Rock and Roll All Night. And
Yeah.
it was great. He had a blast. But if we just go back just a little bit, the last kind of theme that we've touched on is like your individuality. You're not caring what the mainstream is wanting from you.
Yeah.
And one of the things I wanted to touch on with you is your song "Toi reste toi."
Yeah.
Because to me, in English, that's "you do you." Is that?
Am
Am I hearing that right?
You be yourself.
You be yourself. So,
Yeah.
what inspired that? I mean, I've got the hook running through my head right now. Ba, 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 ba.
Oh, it's I don't know. It was it's always a kind of there was a lot of talk about inclusion and all that, and I was when I was a teenager. I wish I could be now, because I'm a lot fatter than I was when I was 12, and I was skinny, and when you were skinny and small, you were a fag instantly. I mean, there was no evaluation, no profound analysis. You were that.
Yeah.
So I kind of bonded with those marginalized communities. Understanding what's the feeling of being, because when you're not, it's sad, but when you are, it's killing you. It's and a lot of people are, we live in a, everyone is enhanced, with filters and everything. And so it was kind of a call to when I made the video clip, I said, I want weird people. And I asked that, and I had that. I had weird people, and it was very cool. And the video, I have like 5 different guitars, 5 different colors, and I have my T-shirt with. If you see the video, it's D. There's a big DA. It's a Dad's Alienated Corporation. I created that.
I wondered what that was.
Yeah, and it's
such a fun video.
It's my statement about what I'm going through since 5 years, but it's you just be yourself, and but not don't listen to Staying Alive in your closet. Put it on the radio. Yeah. Fuck the rest. It's so sad to put fences around you, like trying to preserve yourself from the bad influence of, because it's just insecurity. Yeah. It's only and this insecurity, when you're a creator, that will make you always doing the same things, because if you succeed, that's worse. You're gonna do this all the time. Yeah. Look at Genesis, for example. They had to change. Because Gabriel was gone, and and music was changing. Who would have been able to tell that Invisible Touch would be the most paying record, the most selling record of Genesis?
And they say the same thing about, like when Kiss did I Was Made for Loving You.
Yeah.
Or when Rush came out with the synthesizers, and it's like, what? Or Led Zeppelin with, what was that called? Fool in the Rain?
Yes, but the All of My Love, which was totally synth.
Yeah. As soon as they were just appealing, it's not like they were pretending to be something else. They are creative people who followed a creative notion.
Yeah, the when I learned play bass, I was 11, 12.
Yeah.
Because my birthday is in July, so I began in the summer of my 11, and then 12 years old. And the record that I was trying to copy and play was The Game by Queen.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was 7 years old, my big brother Pierre is teaching me how to put a single, a record on the turntable. And I was always putting the same single, which was Bohemian Rhapsody. And I'm 7 years old, and I'm listening to that song, every Saturday. And then I'm getting crazy. And so it's... and a lot of people at the time, when I was trying to do those John Deacon licks of Queen, people were listening to Number of the Beast and Scorpions and that's that kind of stuff. And Queen was like, there was another one, Bites the Dust, but it was not, and Crazy Little Thing Called Love, but it's a whole record. And
I was, again, just with a student the other night, a young bass student. She, my only female bass student.
Yeah.
She's been with me for, I don't know, almost a year now. She said, can we do another one, Bites the Dust? And I said, we already did that. And she said, yeah, I know, but it was like, I gave her like the easy version.
Yeah.
And then I said, better than another one bites the dust on that album is Dragon Attack.
Oh yeah, it's my first bass solo that I've learned. And
that was exactly what I said to her. Yeah, that's so funny because it's like you can just hear it in your head, right? And it's like it's so repetitive until you get to that point. You're like, that's the good part. But it's so tight.
And I think it's the first time that, in fact, the bass is complimented because when the solo starts, Freddie says, "Oh, nice bass solo."
I didn't notice that.
He says that. Listen. He said, "Oh, nice bass solo," or he says
that's so funny. I've never noticed that. And even if you think back to like Kiss, the song 100,000 Years.
Yeah.
It starts with the bass, just ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to make that sound.
Oh, and the first song I learned on bass was Fascination from Human League.
Really?
It was easy. Bump, ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. It was easy to play, and
really,
and I had this bass from my brother, which was a P bass 65.
Ooh, nice.
With a big trainer amp, and I was playing, at 12 years old. The bass was taller than me, and that was that was great times.
Yeah,
and it's so weird because we always feel that we're struggling to something. I'm just releasing a song, and during the week I was swearing last week. Oh, for that guitar track, I was yelling, and then and I always stop and I said, Dan, have fun.
Yeah,
have fun. Stop. Don't fall in.
Yeah,
don't fall into that perfection thing, and because you're unhappy, and when you're not happy, then magic is not there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
C'est comme ça.
Yeah, c'est comme ça. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
I think we should do this again tomorrow night. What do you think?
No, every 6 months, I wouldn't mind,
I think that'd be a lot of fun because I think that, like the first inspiration I had with Creative Train was just telling people that it's okay to be weird and be an artist.
Yeah.
And want to do stuff. And then I found with like certain comments that I was getting from people, they're like, but I can't do that. And I'm like, well, Jesus, I spent every day telling people you can do this. Yeah. And when I first thought about having guests on, you were the first person that I wanted to have.
Oh, that's so kind.
Unfortunately, our schedule didn't work out that you weren't my first guest, but I'm glad that we finally did this because like when people would think, Renaissance man, what is that? Well, Renaissance is rebirth. And it's kind of like just doing everything, what happened in the European Renaissance with music and architecture and food and clothing. And it's like, we might look back on it now and not really like the clothes or something, but who can fault the architecture and the music?
Yeah, but you can call me the many senses man.
Because, many senses, man.
It's how you feel about things. It's how you, and be the slave of your creation, not your image, not your status, not what people are going to think about it. You see a road and just follow it and see where it gets you. Mm-hmm. But you have to obey to certain parameters. If you want to air on the radio, I'm making 2 minutes 5 second songs.
Yeah,
since 5 years. Okay, Beatles format, because in Quebec, if you send a song longer than this, you won't air on the radio.
Really?
Yeah, because of the quotas of
right.
You have to put like 65%, but they measure it by titles and not the length.
Really?
Yeah. So at one point they were making, many years ago, montage. They were mixes of like 20 songs, but the mix was lasting like, I don't know, 8 minutes.
Isn't that
So they could declare 20 songs. So they would,
oh
but
weird?
but then the government said no, 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 you have to put the full song.
Yeah, 65%.
Yeah.
Here it's I mean we're neighbors basically.
Yeah.
It's 30%. One
30% of French.
30% has to be Canadian.
Oh, Canadian, yeah.
So in Quebec it's 65% French, and then
French, yeah.
and what about
And then
English?
and then
English
that's
Canadian.
why there are songs from M plus M or April Wine or Loverboy
Right.
or whatever that you know by heart, but we
Right.
never heard of it, because we just had like Working for the Weekend and Turn Me Loose, and
Yeah.
but the fifth single, it was a French song. It's a
Wow. Yeah, I mean, listening to radio here. I mean, I don't generally listen to the radio when I'm driving. I like quiet, but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
if we listen to like Q107 from Toronto,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And it's like they'll go Brian Adams, and then they'll go Bon Jovi, and then they'll go like Creed, and then I'm go, okay, it's going to be Loverboy next, and then it's Loverboy, and then something else, and then maybe the Clash, and then they'll come back with Platinum Blonde, and then
Yeah.
it's predictable. It's like every third song is just
Yeah.
this
You know
Canadian
that
rock song.
when I was 16, I had that hair. I
Yeah,
was a bass player, and my hair was platinum and all spray net and all that stuff.
I would love to see a photo of that.
Oh, I can show you some. I have this somewhere, but it's the time that I had most success with girls. But I was 16, so
Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't enjoy it a lot.
now people stop you in Tim Hortons and ask if you're Dave Grohl.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's not such a bad thing either.
Yeah, yeah, but it's so funny. I was in Niagara 2 years ago, and we were going on a holiday with my wife and her three kids, and we brought Philly, my dog. So there was that boat that is going near the fall,
Right.
but I had to wait for them, because I couldn't bring the dog. So I was like sitting like on the base of a tree and enjoying myself as much as I could. And there were the staff that were selling tickets for the boat rides, and they were pointing at me, and at one point it became like kind of, do I look like a criminal, or my
hobo.
dog doesn't have to? And there's the guy who's coming and said, "Excuse me to bother you, sir, but are you Dave Grohl?" I said, for sure. Dave Grohl would hang out with his wiener dog,
Hey, why
doing
not?
nothing in a public place in Niagara. Oh yeah, for sure.
That's funny though.
Oh, no, but okay. Well, what can I say? That's how it is.
It's hazards of the occupation, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, it's like when they say, "Oh, there was that guitar player. The guy with the long hair and the beard. I think he had a black T-shirt on."
Yeah, yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's all of them.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's how it is,
Yep.
and you have to. Many artists would have been totally insulted about that.
Hmm.
I had a beard before that guy.
Hmm.
It's recent. I mean, it's not the same face at all. Dave Grohl without a beard and with a beard.
Oh, from a
It's they're two
distance.
different persons. It looks like two different persons.
Yeah.
But it's the musician cares a bit, but the graphic designer, the author, we don't give a damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why it's good to have your creativity in many countries. virtual countries of your
Yeah.
little world.
Yep.
Just don't be an isolationist
Yeah.
like America is actually trying to do. You know, uh, saying that we're gonna tax. They're gonna tax 100% the foreign movies. I mean,
How?
it's getting bad.
Yeah.
It's
I think people are going to wake up to that pretty soon.
yeah.
Uh,
But in a way, Trump is very appealing for a lot of people because he looks like a man of action.
yep.
But he's creating crisis. It's like Superman would throw someone down from a building and then arrives by the back and catching it. Oh,
Yeah.
I catch you. But he's the one who pushed her.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's one of the first things. I can't remember where I was reading it, but they say one of the first ways to appeal to people who you plan to dominate is to
yeah,
say it's going to hurt for a while, but then we're going to come out greater on the other side.
yeah, exactly.
And it's like, okay, I've been hearing that a lot the last year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt for a while, but we'll be greater. It's like, oh, okay.
It's like hitting your hand with a hammer,
Yeah.
and then the day after, you see, today you weren't hit by a hammer. Don't you feel great?
Yeah.
I
That's
got rid
brilliant.
of the hammer, but
Yeah.
it don't hit me at the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. That's brilliant. Yeah.
But it's because I did a lot of politics as an advertiser.
Hmm.
I've been working with the chief of cabinet for Jean Chrétien. I've been working as a consultant. So when I say something, usually in politics, it's because I've seen the dark side of politics. The brown envelopes with cash, and I saw all this, and the political favors and the everything cheating all the way. So when I see a cheater, I see it like right away. I've saw so many so, but people like to believe. How many people are getting fraud? They're getting screwed by people who promise them, a lot of money in investing and the stock market and blah 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 blah. All the time, people want fast solutions. They want to, but time takes time.
Yeah. They want the savior to come from outside of themselves.
Yeah. They want to
To
be
save them.
taken in charge all the time, have no responsibility, and it's like that. You're a creator. You don't have money from the government to create. What are you gonna do? Whining about the government or doing something?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in the Grotte de Lascaux in Europe, they were drawing, on the walls with,
Yeah.
with stones, red stones, and things like that. There always was that desire to create.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
financial aid from government is really recent.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
history.
People just want to tell stories.
Yeah,
They want to tell their fellow humans that it's going to be okay. They want to say,
exactly.
this is what happened to me. Don't do it. Or, it's the same bad thing will happen to you. Or tell
Exactly.
stories that just give them some ease at night, help them
Yeah.
fall asleep a little bit easier.
Yeah.
That's one of the, it's a great thing about being an artist is, that whatever you choose to do, you have many media to choose from.
Yeah.
Do that. You
Exactly.
could paint a nice picture. You could make a nice melody or whatever, cook a nice meal. Now, cooking is one of my favorite things, and we didn't get into that. We'll get into it next.
Yeah.
But it's just another form of expression.
Yes, but
It's like,
when you succeed to seduce yourself and to fulfill yourself with your creation, when you succeed to sell your ID to yourself,
mhm.
first, it's so easy to sell it after that to everyone, because your passion is not a liar. Passion is truth.
Mm-hmm.
And people, as I told before, people are looking for truth.
Yep.
And sometimes we see people like, for example, Cohen. He was not Pavarotti. He was, he was not Freddie Mercury.
No.
But there's Neil Young. I mean,
Yep.
Oh man, okay. So, but that there's a sincerity.
Yep. That cannot be mistaken for anything else.
Voilà, c'est comme ça. Yep. Alors, I'm very happy because it's been so long since I've speak in English. Sorry for my accent or my.
Don't apologize.
I mean, but let's. I will have to get up or get down. I don't know what's the.
Yeah. I think
Lindsay,
you're a little bit north of us.
I have to visit you.
Yeah, and that's why
telling me about a kind of cabin in the woods, or
my house.
No, but there was a place, during
yes.
Does it still exist?
Oh yes, it exists.
So I can write a kind of Stephen King book there.
As long as you don't act it out, yeah, that's fine.
Exactly. Oh God.
Oh, geez, I thought we would be hard-pressed to find an hour to fill here.
Oh, God.
No.
So anytime you want, I'll be there, and we'll talk about many issues of our modern world and our artistic life that is kind of observing all this and trying to translate it in emotions.
I think art can truly save the world at this point.
Oh, God, yeah, more than ever.
What did everybody turn to during the pandemic?
Exactly.
Movies, art, everything artistic.
Exactly.
Nothing else to rely on, so.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Shall we call it a night?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So.
This has been a real pleasure for me.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I'm so happy that we could finally make this work out after my internet problems and my weird work schedule. But, yeah.
Okay, and, see you very soon. And hi to everyone in Ontario and planet Earth, because I'm sure that you have many, many listeners from all over. And go and see Dan Moisan. It's
yes.
You won't understand a lot of stuff, but there's also Mosquito Bee, which is my English project. And I did a song called And Goes My Love. That was, I made a video in New York City. It's going to be 2 years this summer. And that was very cool. And have fun.
Well, I'll make sure to put your website in the description so people don't have to listen to 2 hours and 10 minutes of us talking before they find out what it is.
But you should make like 2 episodes.
Yeah, I could do that. I could easily do that.
Don't do that, the director's cut, Just make 2 episodes instead. Yep. Excellent.
Okay, so I gotta figure out what a good edit point is in there. I gotta fly in my studio here. Flew past the microphone.
So, talk soon and enjoy art as much as you can.
I will do that, and you too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Soir, mon ami.
Yeah, bye.
I really hope you enjoyed that episode. I certainly loved it. That was a great 2 hours spent with Daniel. Not only is it heartening and encouraging to talk shop with a fellow creator, but I hope that you were able to get the vibe of the inspiration and the passion that is alive and well in, well, just the two of us, but everybody. Anyone that's committed to keeping art in their life and not succumbing to getting just the regular old day job. You can do it. You really can. And if you want to hear a little bit more about that kind of topic, check out the next episode, because that's what it's all about.